All right. So no, Jimmy, to answer your question, I don't think being with a tranny once makes you gay. So, oh shit, we're rolling. All right. So anyway, we're here at, dude, your hair, you got like the Trump comb over when the wind blows and it goes straight up. America. Yeah. So here at Crazy Dave and Jihadi James, we're going to now work on this one. So if you didn't watch my video on the Cowie, there's a good ending to that one. It's a funny and an interesting ending. Go ahead and watch that. I won't spoil it. Go watch it.
Now.
Right now.
Right now.
He means business. Why's that cell phone taped to your vest?
Is that a fire extinguisher?
Yeah. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to change out the front sprocket, which I conveniently left in the on the kitchen counter, like heading into the living room. It'll be there, like near the sink. And so we went down one and up one on the mighty ZX14. Reason being, gearing commander says 212. Top gearing limited if you hit the red line in 6, which it won't. So why have it geared to go that tall? Gear it down and have that extra acceleration. Not that it needs it, but why have it wasted? Let's gear it down and make the thing just even more stupid and hooligan. It'd be fun. And we're going to do the same to this. Now, this does not need to be geared down. Although I did notice that, like, if you're trying to go like 15 or 20 miles an hour, it's kind of hard. The engine stumbles a little bit. Like you're lugging the motor. Your RPMs aren't enough. It's like it doesn't really kind of smooth out to your almost like 25 miles an hour. So you're having to feather the clutch more. And this is geared to do like 160s. And on a naked bike, I'm really not like looking to do that. If I was going to the track or somewhere where I'm like, okay, I want to go 160 or 170 down the back straight,
This Sprocket?
then I would just, yeah, that's the one. So I would take that bike. So I'm going to gear this one down with a 1/2 smaller countershaft sprocket. This will have 2 benefits. It'll make it even more hooligan and bonkers and just fun to ride, right? That's my hooligan bike. It's only going to be limited now to 151 instead of 161. So I'm going to take 10 miles an hour off the top speed, which on a naked bike is fine. You don't ride naked bikes that fast. And like I said, if I need a faster bike, I'm going to go for that one anyway. What we'll also do to help mitigate the risk of some of the wheelies and the electronic intervention is when you go to a smaller sprocket in the front, that means you get to move the wheel a little further back to take up the extra slack made up by the smaller sprocket. It has a smaller circumference, less space for the chain needs to travel around the sprocket, which means you're going to have some slack. You move the wheel back a 1/4 inch, helps keep the front end down. It's still going to wheel you like an absolute psychopath, but I don't know. We'll try it out. If I don't like it, it was only $28 or whatever from Sprocket Center. It's not a lot of money. If I go, you know what, this bike was actually geared better stock, all we got to do is just put it back. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to move this camera right here, James. Oh, you need to move because your balls are right there. And I don't want to accidentally brush them with the back of my hand.
That's what I was trying to do.
I mean,
It's been a while.
I'm not saying I won't. I don't want to take any options off the table. But so here's what we're going to do. This one should be much easier because we don't have the hydraulic clutch and the fairing to work around. So all I have to do is, hey, where's my other, this? Yes. So what we're going to have to do is you need an 8mm. First of all, loosen your axle nut in the back and take your chain slide, your adjustment sliders, and put them all the way forward. You need to put some extra slack in here so you have room to move that sprocket out. We don't need to cut the chain and put a new one.
You already did that.
I already done did it, James. This is marked with a line that goes into that gap so that you can get the orientation correct. So the first thing we want to do is we need to take this out. And you can't just loosen it because there's a channel that keeps the shoe. So even if it came loose, it won't fall off as you're going down the road. You have to physically unscrew it all the way and then pull it out, which hopefully you would notice it was loose before it ever got to that point. So do that, move that out of the way, set your bolt aside, take this, and do like I'm doing. Take off that one. And we'll take off that cover. I use the container here, so they'll roll around on the ground, lose them. And we'll do this one. All right, actually leaning over like this is bothering my lower back. I had a severe back issue. Maybe we'll talk about that on the Dave and Jimmy show yesterday. But seems to have mostly gone away. And for how much pain I was in yesterday. And I'm not kidding, James. It was the most painful thing I've ever experienced. Separating my shoulder was bad. Like pulling and stretching all those ligaments and tendons where my collarbone was 1 inch lower on one side than the other was horrific. But I could walk. Yesterday, I couldn't walk when I first got up. It took an hour for me to be able to stand on my feet. It was the weirdest, I don't even know. And I'm sitting there in Vegas trying to figure out, it's 3 a.m., I got a flight in a couple hours, I can't walk. And it's not like, oh, you just walk down to the lobby. Walking down to the lobby was 1,800 steps on my my watch. 1,800 steps. You figure my stride is about, 30 inches. It's like 3/4 of a mile just to get to the frickin' lobby. It's insane. All right. So here's what we're going to do. This is a lock nut. And so you may need to hold the back brake or hold the back tire. So this has these two dimples right here. And when you loosen this, it'll push them out. But it's going to take extra effort to do that. And then when you're done, you just kind of peen them in a little bit with a screwdriver and such. All right, so I need to get this on an impact wrench. Make sure it's going in the right direction. And we're going to take that off. You holding the back wheel?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Once it unpeens that piece, then we're good. All right. So now what you do is we already put all the slack in. Push that back wheel forward. We're good. And then you're going to pinch this out.
Not even moving.
And then
Yeah,
hopefully
it's already in.
get enough slack. Now, if I have to, and I may here, I may have to slide off this piece, which, you know what, we're going to do it this way because, oh, motherfucker, this thing is covered with grease. Did it get on my hay dudes? No. All right, Jimmy, take that if you will. We're going to take that, and this will make it easier to get this off, and then we're going to clean that before we put it back on. There's all the chain lube, which I don't use lube for that reason. I don't use lube, Jim. I'm a dry guy. I use WD-40 on my chain. I don't bother with that goop because it ends up everywhere, except for where it's really needed, which is down inside. I'm wondering if I can get this. Can you get this wheel forward any more? I don't want to have to pop the chain and get a new chain, although it would give me an excuse to give me a gold chain, which is a faster chain. And it would give us something to do while we go over to cycle gear, which would be long enough drive to do the Dave and Jimmy podcast.
This is as far as it'll go. Oh, it's not going anywhere on the other side. That's as far as it'll go.
I need to bend this just enough to get slack around it. Booyah! All right.
Here.
Take it. Thanks.
Oh, wait.
And we're going with this. This is the part number. Probably should have done that. I'll put it in the description of the other one. Got it from Super Sprockets and Sprocket Center. It's super light, 525 pitch, and it is for the R1, FC07, FC09, MT-10, R1.
Yeah.
It's a 16 tooth instead of the 17. I believe. Actually, bring that back here for a second, if you would, James. No, this is a 15.
This is a 15.
No, better not be. This is a 15.
It's a 16.
That's a
My eyes
16.
are blurry.
Too much jack in it. Yeah. So it was a 16. Now we're going to a 15. 16T. You don't really want to go much smaller than 15s on a front sprocket. It puts undue wear on the chain. After that, go up on the back if you want to gear it down more. On this one, I am only going down one tooth on the front to get a little bit extra drive and poke. Let's make sure I've got this right side.
You need to do anything? I don't think I can.
Now I'm just trying to get this out enough that I want to make sure I've got it facing the right direction. You want to have the numbers. I might have put it in there backwards.
Yeah.
I don't think it makes a difference, but I want to be sure. There we go. All right. There. The numbering is what I put on that side. I don't know that it makes a difference. I think some sprockets it does because they have an offset. This one looks symmetrical, so it probably doesn't make the difference. But let's just be sure. Make sure we do it right. And now I need to line it up with the splines, like so. We need to put our whenever you're putting things on, you're going to use an impact wrench. Get them on most of the way by hand. You do not, go ahead and hold that back wheel if you will. You don't want to take a chance on cross-threading something. All right, so we're going to give it a bunch of googa-googas. It was on there pretty tight. I'm not sure what the exact torque is. I'm honestly just not that worried about it. As long as it's on tight enough and then you hit those dimples to where it can't loosen, it's not going to matter. But you wouldn't want to over-torque it. So we're going to go, that ain't going anywhere. If you don't like my methods, that's okay. This is how I do it. I'm showing you how to get to it and to do it and why and all that stuff. If you want to break out the torque wrench and find the specs, more power to you. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just not going to worry about it. Okay, so let's put our cover back on. Where's the cover? Did I give that cover to you? Oh, first we're going to go wash that other piece. So, see how gunky this thing is? So I'm gonna go. Well, I'll just edit this part out. I'll be back in a minute. I'm gonna take some brake cleaner and paper towels and get all that shit off, and then we're gonna go ahead and install that. Actually, this isn't taking all that long, so I guess I'll just show you what I'm doing. Taking paper towels, get the biggest chunks of crud and stuff out of there. And then we're going to hit a paper towel with some brake cleaner and get the rest. Probably would have been a good idea to wear some of my nitrile gloves, James. All right, so we got that. Would you take that? And then we'll just wipe it with a little brake cleaner so it doesn't get everywhere. We're gonna, yeah, kind of still got everywhere. Might not have saved myself a whole lot of trouble. That's all right. Let's just get as much of this shit off. All right, looks pretty good. Some people like to put their sprocket cover back on or leave this open sprocket cover. They won't put these guards back in there. I'll tell you right now, don't do that. This is here for a reason, James. Do you know what that is? It's a very practical, good reason.
Keep it in place. Any kind of vibration it dampens.
Maybe a little bit. What's the primary reason, do you think?
I thought it would have been
You thought it would have been that? Is that your final answer?
Wait.
You want to call somebody? Lifeline?
So no gunk gets in the sprocket?
Okay. All right, James, I asked you this question because you of all people should know the answer to this.
I would have said it was vibration.
No. What happened on the Hatfield-McCoy Trail when your chain snapped on your
really?
400?
Is that what that's for?
That is exactly what that is for.
So the
this extra padding in here.
It doesn't get bunched up and crack the motor.
Yes. So James and I were up there with Daniel and Donna, and was Megan on that trip, or were they already?
Yeah.
Okay, so we were up there, and we were in the Hatfield-McCoy trails up in West Virginia. There's these trails that are miles and miles away from the nearest towns, no cell phone coverage. I'm on my Polaris, maybe my 570. No, I may have been on the 850 at that time. Donna's on whatever she had. Daniel was on
Z400. She had a Z400.
You had a Z400.
She had the newer one. I had the old one.
Yes, she had the new one. That was before we got her the Can-Am. Anyway, Daniel and I are looking at Jimmy as he takes off, going down the trail. We were at the top of it. We had to climb up the mountain. We got to the main trail. Jimmy takes off on the Sport Quad because now we're off the rocks, and he's got the advantage having the Sport Quad on the more dirt, smooth stuff. And we're like, wow, his chain is flapping around. When we stop, we need to tell him to tighten his chain. We said that, and then we come down the trail, and there's Jimmy on the side of the trail, puking oil all over the ground because the chain came off the back sprocket. His didn't snap, but same principle. And it bunched up right here, and it was, at least this is kind of outside the motor. The motor kind of came more around it, and this was in like a relief area of the case. And so when it bunched up here with him at wide open throttle, bam, cracked the case, put a hole there. and all his oil pukes out. So luckily we had tow straps and had to tow him carefully down a very rocky, about 1,500 feet of elevation down the mountain back into town.
I remember that.
And you were out that was it for the rest of the, I think Daniel, then maybe you rode his ATV and he had the dirt bike or something?
ATV, and Daniel rode the dirt bike with a flat tire, remember?
Yes, because then Daniel had a back tire. Rode the whole day with a popped back tire. So that's what that's for. Leave that guard and the cover. That will minimize, probably can't eliminate, but it will minimize. That's big, thick, won't tear easy, and it'll cushion some of the shock from shattering or cracking anything, like as far as the engine case. So don't be that guy. Oh, that's not even that dirty. Let's go ahead and take that. We're going to put this back on, and then we're going to put the back wheel further back and tighten that up. So we got 3 screws. Now we also have the 4th screw, which was for this guy up here. The difference is that one was an 8mm hex. And the others were whatever size that is, 4.5 mil. So let's get those in.
Does this have auto blip?
Yes, of course it does. Auto blip, slide control, wheelie control, rear wheel lift mitigation under braking, traction. This has got the same electronics package as the R1, my friend. It's got it all.
I don't think mine has rear brake or rear.
I think it needs the IMU for that. Yours might have an IMU, but maybe because yours is a 2015. That's when like full electronics packages were like really getting rolling. But the newest generation stuff from like 2020-ish on is like another level.
Well, the S used to the rear wheel used to come off the ground, heavy braking, but this one doesn't.
Yeah, you can allow it, or you can say how much.
Really?
Just the same with the wheelie.
This.
Yeah.
Not on mine.
No, not on yours. All right, so we got that lined up. And you notice this moves forward and back about 0.5 millimeter. So what I tend to do is just put it smack dab in the middle. So we'll start to tighten this where it's just starting to grip it, and then just kind of figure out where that middle spot is. And then, that's it. Now we move the back tire back, change our camera angle, go wide for the money shot, Jim. Wait, what?
What happens if I put something down in the exhaust pipe?
I hurt you, is what happens.
No, it probably shoots out.
It would. All right. A washer is fancy?
Mine doesn't have a washer. Oh.
How do you know? Have you done this mod on your R1?
What? The washer back here.
For chain adjuster?
Yeah. I'll let you play with that one. I got it.
Yeah, it needs a little more, but let's do the other side first. So we are 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. 1, 2. If you would, go get me the calipers. I'm going to use the calipers on this one. Oh, never mind. I got them right here.
Oh, great. I didn't know where they were.
You had
them last.
What's a caliper? Damn it. All right.
The thing on the brakes?
Yeah, let's go with that. 31.79. 30. All right, so this has less. You actually screw this one out more. Yeah. Okay, so that's where I want it. Let's see where we're at. $29.8. 31. So why? Yeah.
So everything's good on this one? Locked down?
I just have to move this side forward a little bit to get it straight.
It looks weird with like no bottom piece to it.
Yeah, but you know what? When you're working on it or doing oil changes, it's like everything you need is like there.
Did it come with a bottom piece and you just took it off? Or it comes completely freaking naked underneath there?
Yeah, you can. I think there's probably like an accessory you could buy.
That's what I'm thinking of. That's what it is.
All right, let's see. Where are we at now?
Surround SP.
You know what's weird is that I'm measuring it, but measuring it with the calipers is very different from what I see here. So which one do I go by?
You go by not the calipers because your swing arm on the other side is probably not the same as the part on this side.
That's almost what I'm wondering. I mean, you'd think that it would be.
Well, when you were doing it with the Kawasaki, I was like, what's he doing? But maybe it's the same on the Cowie.
All right, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and about 3/4. And this one is... All right, that's what we're going to do, James. What? Yeah, I mean, looking at it visually, looks about right. Let's see.
So what does happen when you have it in the wrong spot?
Well, I mean, the back could be crooked slightly, and
wears out the tire funky.
It could. I mean, if it's off. I mean, if it's off a tiny bit, not really. I wouldn't be too concerned about it. But if it's really wonky, I mean, your tire wants to go straight down the road. It's rolling in one plane. If it's off, I don't know. It could make it handle weird.
Yeah, maybe if you got it funky on one side, your right turns are going to be better than your left turns.
Yeah, I don't know. Alright, that is done. So we're good to go. So the back tires definitely moved back a little bit, so that's good. That'll help. That's about the right amount of chain. You just want about 1 inch. I always opt for a tiny bit more than a tiny bit less. I'd rather have it a little loose than a little tight. Never want it so loose that it can jump off or cause slapping or just driveline lash.
No, when you're...
But too tight, you end up putting pressure on the seals on the countershaft sprocket. So, all right. All we got to do is just tighten our lock nuts and we're done. So let's go wash up and then we'll go do the Dave and Jimmy show. But that is how you swap out. Notice this video took a fraction of the time. It's 4 bolts. Roll your tire forward. 1 bolt, 3 bolts for the cover. Oh, you know what we forgot to do? We forgot to hammer those things in. The lock nut. Okay, so what you're not going to see here, we'll just cut it off, is I have to go back and take off all those bolts and redo this. I don't have to do anything there. I just have to hit it with a hammer. I mean, they're tight enough. They shouldn't go anywhere, but safety. Let's just go back and do it right. So I got to go back and timple in those things so it can't loosen. That's always the problem when I'm talking, doing things, is sometimes I miss a step. But, so anyone's watching it, shouting at their TV or their phone right now, just know that, yes, we're going to go back and redo that. It's tight. I just need to go and whack it with a screwdriver where those slots are cut so it dents the metal a little bit in there. So it takes that little bit of extra effort to take that, to loosen it. So there we go. We'll do a drive, we'll do a ride tomorrow. Jimmy, just bring your car over if you want and just take, or whatever. We'll take both bikes out and you can take one bike and we'll just switch on and off during the day so I can do riding impressions of the sprocket changes, see if I like it versus what it was before. But we should have more drive, even more acceleration. Not that it needed it, but it'll improve its low speed manners. And when you're having to slip the clutch at like driveway or parking lot speeds. And with the little extra wheelbase should help keep the front down as much as a bike like this is going to allow you to keep the front down. We'll see. I may ride it and go, ooh, this is too torquey, too much wheelie action, and I go back. But we'll see. Anyway, we'll talk to you later.